continuing our tour through all of the wonderful show gardens at the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show, and I've got Carolyn and Joby coming through and taking us through this beautiful garden. Tell us a little bit about it, some of the striking features.
Well, it's called Apertura, and the idea behind that is that it's the Latin word for opening. And we wanted to make a play on that because we love light, we love the manipulation of light in the garden. So we wanted to create a really distinctively sunny side and then a shady glade and build the contrast between those two things. And so the idea is of the opening, like all good gardens, there's that sense of mystery of something lying beyond. And so we really wanted to make a play on that. And we love plants and we're known for plants, and so we wanted to make plants the hero.
It was also a bit of an experiment, and rather than designing by putting things in, we tried to design by taking things away, and that's just a prime example of having nothing there.
Yeah.
So many comments from the crowd. Why isn't there a sculpture inside the circle? But it's about heroing plants at every opportunity. So
That's
it's a window
awesome.
through to more plants.
And the circle has a sculptural form. It's just not as prescriptive or sort of that, well, here's the sculpture point, so therefore it must be. It's more just about the shape that it's creating because, as I said, we love plants and it's an exercise in wanting to do less, not more things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And tell us, I mean, is a structure impressive and before you put in the horticultural side and being able to fulfill that?
Yeah, so we definitely wanted to design the garden so that there was links between the large living green wall olive element and the architectural elements, in this case, the pergola in the garden. And so the steel work for that was all done about 4 years ago in prep for Garden Show before the pandemic hit.
Yes.
And so it comes apart, it's in 4 panels, and the plants have been grown on it about in the last 3.5 years or so. And that's been painstakingly done by Merrywood Nursery, who are the Espalier gurus.
Done a great job.
And Chris and Jen have done the hard yards in terms of patience and just the expertise and just patience. I'll use that word again. Just with the repeated care to get that looking like that has that's now sort of come out, and so thin. Like when you look at it from side on, it's really taking up such a tiny footprint, and yet it's just such a big job in the garden for really such a tiny bit of real estate.
And you mentioned the timing perfectly as well with the coming together literally like
We're a little bit lucky to see it completely covered because it was grown for the 2020 show, but which was cancelled. So we're kind of lucky in that regard. But it all stemmed from a conversation we had years and years ago about Carolyn going, I want to do something really big that's never been seen at the show before. We want to grow something specific for the show. So she said, I don't want to do a great big espalier. I know the people to do it. I've known Chris all my life.
Yeah.
Let's do something big. So
and crazily, Chris just said, yeah, we should do that. We could do that. And so we just went, all right, well, off we go. And the other thing that we really wanted to do is use other soft plantings, of course, in a more traditional way that people are used to seeing plant material.
Yeah.
And we needed some height and we needed some bulk at the front of the garden because you didn't want to have all the tall bits, just the pergola and the olive and the trees. So we've used the miscanthus, which is an absolute favourite of ours. We've been using this plant for about 25 years in our gardens. And we love it because it gives all that movement and it gives height without too much bulk, because we didn't want to block any of the views through to the olive. And another one of our favourite, which we actually grew at home, which is the Becheneria, which gives that a fantastic kind of vertical interest in the garden, but again, it doesn't take up too much space like the shrubs do. And the Buxus and the Raphiolipus are amazing and we love them, but they're so chunky and they're bulky and evergreen, and they provide the bones for the garden year round. But it's that combination, I think, of those chunky lower sort of base kind of evergreen shrubs and then the kind of ethereal verticality, is that a word? I don't know. Of the other sort of more ethereal kind of verticals in the garden. I think it's the combination of the two. And then a little bit of colour.
And you mentioned also previously, chasing the sun and being a distinctive. Everyone's probably chasing the sun as well.
Everyone does chase the sun, and if anybody's that lived in Melbourne, they'll know we do chase the sun. And some days, if there is a little pocket of sunshine, you just need to be able to have a little chair that you can maybe capitalise on a sunny little spot in the garden, just to sneak a cup of tea.
You can move around easily.
Well, Joby made that bench seat, that lovely carved little bench seat from a branch that fell down off a cypress tree at our farm.
Awesome.
And Job made it, but it's really lightweight, so you can grab it and you can put it anywhere if you need the shade in summer or you need the sun in winter.
Yep. No,
And speaking of the sunlight, we designed this from the word dot. Really, we put it into 3D, and we track the sun at this time of year from show hours 10 to 4ish today.
On this
So-
exact
This-
location.
So this was the sunniest spot where the olive sits now. So we sort of designed everything else around that.
Based around that,
location of
yeah.
Highlighting that in the sun, making sure that it was at people's backs. You know, you can get the full face of it on the sun for the most amount of hours.
Yeah. It'd be good if the sun.
Well, it's planned out like you would
Big-
have to have it, isn't
Be
it?
good if the sun came out. But for the other few days of the show, it has been proven. It really has been. It's been really focal and in the sun all day. You know,
Yeah.
which is just lovely and creating by default that amazingly shady, glady sort of cocooning space in behind.
And of a night time also lighting through, and
Yeah.
last night being the open night
Yeah.
showing as well, so lighting is a part
The
of
light,
the design as
the
well.
lighting is fantastic, and Gardens at Night do an incredible job every year for our gardens and throughout the year on our regular clients' work. But they just brought it to life, and the idea they really emphasised the that portal idea and that opening into another whole world.
Really, glowing, aren't they, behind there at night time?
Yeah. The Zelkovas are amazing, and they're just such an ornamental form, and we wanted something that was obviously really contrasting to the olive.
Yeah,
It's quite an established team we've had building show gardens. You know, Semken have done all the hardscape and all the hard work, and Gardens at Night and Bamstone, and you know,
Everyone
sort of
together.
typical Melbourne
Yeah.
colours and combinations.
Like bringing the team back together and then
It
pulling
is,
the,
and it is, and it's always Semken, and it's always Old Red Brick, and it's always Bluestone from Bamstone in Port Fairy, and and I think it's about the 30th garden that we've built with Semken landscaping here
Yeah.
at the show. So I'm not saying they're easy, but we are a well-oiled team.
Yeah, definitely. Oh well, thank you for taking us through and having a look through some of the design elements, and also being able to step into the garden. So thank you very much for that.
So welcome. It's been just a pleasure showing you through.
Cheers.